Does McDonald's really serve the best French fries and hamburgers?
No.
I'm pretty sure you can make a better hamburger, and I'm pretty sure you can cook some better, Cajun seasoned fries or something like that.
She can't, but I can.
Okay, so he does the cooking.
That's why I went like this.
All right. Welcome back to Launch a New Us. This is a podcast where we talk about us becoming small business owners, and along the way, we interview some amazing people. Like today, our guest, Jose. Jose, let us know a little bit about what you do, because you shared with us, and it's like you're almost like a Swiss Army knife of like finance and information stuff. It's like, oh, I do this, but I also do this. And then on the backside, I got this. And then like you pull something out and that's a toothpick. And it's just like you do a lot of stuff. And it's just, before we get into that, I'm just really excited. We've been like doing a couple of Zoom calls and trying to like figure out how can we get this going. And every time like we try to do a Zoom call, there was always an internet issue, a malfunction with something else. And I just loved how we just could continue to stay in contact to make sure that this happened. Because I think the information that you have, not only for us, but for people who's going to be watching, is really valuable information. I think this is something that we can help them out in their business, for anyone who might be like wanting to plan a business and they're like, I'm gonna save this episode for later. I think that's a good one. And so without further ado, that's enough of me talking in the beginning of this show. Jose, tell us a little about yourself.
My name is Jose Cepeda, right? Funny thing is, you guys live in Lamarck. I'm actually originally raised in Clute, Texas, or if you know about Lake Jackson, Texas, that's where I'm originally from, but now I reside in Houston. Me, like you said, it was a Swiss Army knife. It's so weird that you just said that, because the thing is like, that's a really good way to put it, but I think a lot of people know about Amazon, so I usually say Amazon of financial services, right? that is the biggest thing. But yeah, like I grew up in Clute, Lake Jackson area. I never thought about being an entrepreneur or being in business. Actually, those words scared me as a kid. As a kid, it scared me. And I never really thought about what I really wanted to be, except for being a superhero. My wife knows this story so bad. It's like third grade teacher comes around, what do you want to do? And they tell you, and everyone's like policeman, doctor, and I'm like superhero. And then the same type of question was brought up in my sophomore year, leading by junior year. And if you know about anything about like public school, high school is kind of junior year is usually kind of the important year. So the thing is, I still want to be a superhero. So, but in reality, that actually brought me to serving. You know what I mean? That actually brought me to serving. So the thing is, that's why I got into the military, served the Marine Corps for 4 years. But then I hit a big hole in my life of dark, I lost my sense of service. Yeah. Like that was like the biggest thing. So the thing is, I understood that, to give someone the story short, is like I understood there was a money problem out in the world. There's a huge need about how does money work? How does all this stuff work? No one's teaching this in school. Only I think maybe 4 states now. People are slowly putting into it. I mean, like the only thing I learned about money is how to balance a check in 3rd grade, and that was about it.
Wow, you learned that in 3rd grade. They did not teach us that in 3rd grade. How old are you, first of all?
I just turned 30, January 28th. Yeah,
that's great.
So
happy birthday.
Thank you. To be honest with you, a lot of people tell me you look like you're out of high school.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you, 25?
Hey, take that as a blessing for sure.
Yes, take it.
I mean, I think I turned 30 or 29. Someone's like, man, you seem way younger. And I was like, thank you. I just try not to stress about things. Even though my wife tell you I stress a lot lot about things. But
his forehead is the only area that he
and I think the reason I don't stress too much is like I can only I learned, it's one of the biggest lessons in business is you can only control what you can control, right? So the thing is, if you lean on that a lot, and of course whatever your faith may be, you don't get those gray hairs that much.
Yeah. I'm lucky to not to. I mean, no one probably see because I wear a hat almost every day of my life. But I have no gray hair, and then when my wife finds one, it's eventually gone. I don't know what happens.
Yeah, it's in the beard. Yeah, it's always in the beard, and then it disappears.
But I love what you said, that you've always had this heart of serving others, and it almost seems like that's a trend without us thinking or trying to make it a trend. I know the last episode we talked about us wanting to help people, and it's always been something that we wanted to do as a couple.
It's like our mission statement.
Yeah, that's what we tell our kids about helping people. That's when you walk in, my daughter was like, "Let me hold the door for you. It's nice to be nice to our guests."
Man, your daughter is wonderful, man.
She's one of a kind,
gift, man.
She's the sweetest.
Yeah, if you ever see this, you're one of a kind, Sophia. But she really is just one of the sweetest people. You know, she gave you guys a hug right when she saw you, and she didn't even met you. Like that's just who she is, and it's just kind of internally what this year almost seems like it is for us is if you're helping people. Just get what they want out of life. Like I think that's something that we try to do. It's something I try to do in the video business. That's what she tries to do with house owners and get them into their first homes. And it feels like that's what you do in your business. You try to help people out financially, however that might be.
And I love how you talked about you found an area where there was need. Right. And that's where what all of us do is we find an area, we see a problem. How can we solve it? And that's how we end up becoming business owners. Right.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you, what was it that drew you to it? Like other than, I saw a need, it needed to be filled.
Well, I have like multiple stories on that. To me, it's just like I grew up not having money. And not having money. Very like if my family were to see this, like, man, we did not know that part of you because we're like a close-knit family kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like literally my real dad was abusive. And my mom left them everything. So any single parents out there, I have a high respect for that.
Same.
Because the thing is, because I lived that childhood, and basically, my mom left my real dad everything, talking about everything, everything. Just it was just
peace
car
out, see you later.
And working 3 jobs. And either way, the family was kind of close by. She was, I guess, in a way prideful. Like if I asked for help, she's gonna hear just the backlash of the family. So at one point, I remember to this day, and I was actually telling one of the youth that I serve at my church. It's like, to this day, I still remember my mom didn't have that much money, and we went to McDonald's, and we got a hot and spicy, and we split it 3 ways. And the Mercury Cougar, I still remember to this day. I don't know if you remember. Mercury Cougars, right? I remember that, and the thing
I'm
is...
going to Google that later.
Mercury Cougar, it's like a 1990 Mercury Cougar. I can't even tell you the year, but I remember how it looks like. If I saw one, I'll let you know. Yeah. So the funny thing is, like, I remember that my mom working 3 jobs, and there's one point that, the times that she could not see us, and the funny thing is when I tell this story, a lot of people say, "Oh man, that should have been months and years." I'm like, no, it actually was within like 3 weeks, but it felt like 3 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? So the thing is like me and my brother lived like in a dumpster at a small town grocery store, and the thing is that owner actually told the dumpster people to when they pick it up is to or they told their employees to not dump any trash in the second dumpster because me and my brother would stay there. You know what I mean? Wow. They will stay there, and when my mom would not come because she'll rotate 3 jobs. Sometimes we won't see her like 2 or 3 days. The thing is, we'll stay there, and then there's times that I was afraid to go to school because I smelled. I smelled. I'm like, I don't want to. And like at one point, I was like, man, graduating high school will be just a dream.
Yeah.
So when I tell that story, a lot of people, man, that should have been months, years. I know it actually happened in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, but just knowing that is like, I always like, just going back to the question is like, what drew me there is because not knowing how money worked, and when money was there, I cherished it and more like hoarded it in a way.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I learned, thanks to my wife, thanks honey.
You don't know, she's sitting right behind the camera. Yeah.
So I mean, I just saw there was like a huge need, and here's the side story. When I was in the Marine Corps, I literally called my mom about, hey mom, I got X amount of money, what should I do with it? She's like, I'm not good with money, the only one they should call is your Uncle George. Uncle George told me it's like leave in the bank and open some CDs. If you don't know what a CD is in the bank, it's a certificate of deposit. Yeah. So the thing is like, knowing what I know now, I wish I didn't do that. Yeah. So and then getting out of the Marine Corps, I was like, I got this still X amount of money that didn't really grow when I was in the Marine Corps. I went in my hometown. There's only like one investment firm, and that's like Edward Jones. If you ever Edward Jones, I'm not knocking on the firm or anything like that. It's just I went in there and I just asked, hey, what does it take to get started? And they said at least minimum 10 grand, blah blah blah. And if you don't go with us, and they're gonna charge you a fee, whatever. Even if you don't go in and out, it's like, was there any information? It's like, and they just gave me a piece of paper of like their services, and I'm like, okay, I had the money, but I'm thinking about people like my aunts and uncles and the people that didn't grew up in a way like me. What do they do besides just go working for a job and just trying to live by? What happens with that, right? So I was
That's
looking.
such a good point, because a lot of people don't realize is that only like 10% of the nation actually saves
Actually to be a more realistic stat, you know, actually I think it got bumped up to 68, but last time I read it was 63% of Americans can say that they don't really have $1,000 saved up in their savings account.
Yeah. I remember reading somewhere that it was like 10% only don't have 10% have like $5,000 or $10,000, like an actual savings fund.
Like
3 to 6 months.
I think that 10% is like they actually have maybe 1 to 2 emergency funds for worst case scenarios.
That's what
things like that for rainy days, whatever it may be. But in reality, you should be aiming at least minimum for 3, but also a good standard is 6. Yeah.
So then. I love that you brought that up, because one of the things that is very interesting to me, and one of the reasons why I'm even considering reformatting the way I'm doing business, is because of the lack of information for the Spanish community, or the lack of information for the people who are at a disadvantage, with lower incomes, right? And it's very interesting to me that you said that, because truthfully, I've met mortgage brokers who say go to a website, and if you don't qualify, they say, oh, we'll send you something in the mail, opposed to saying, hey, let's talk about it. Let's educate you on how you can be qualified for a house. You know what I mean? Luckily, now I work with a broker who's like that. But I've met many who aren't. And so it's very interesting to me that you were like, hold on, this is a hole that really needed to be met.
Yeah. And actually, to be honest with you, there's a lot of people that actually have been doing it for many years. It's just the thing is, all 50 states is so many people. The thing, you got to think about it. And we'll get in, I hope we can get into a little bit about business. But the thing is like, you know, I'm only one man or one person, one mouth. I can only preach or serve one way as much as I can. Everyone has 24 hours a day, right? So how you maximize that, I can only do so much. But the thing is, if you have an army, if you have people doing the same thing, then you're able to reach more outskirts. Because to be honest with you, like a lot of people may be brokers or whatever it may be, serving their communities, but I'm thinking like way bigger, because I'm thinking about 50 states, Canada, Puerto Rico. I don't know about the other overseas, and there's some stuff that needs to happen before that. But what I can do right now is serve people in Canada and all 50 states and Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So I know, I understand the need.
Yeah, but that's so good that you saw the need. I think that is super important.
Well, also, like, just actually doing something. I think we all see needs every day. Talking about Sophia, she got money during Christmas. No, it was after her birthday. She got some money for her birthday. I remember I pulled into the gas station to get a jug of water because we needed some water. And I told my kids, just stay in the car. If anything happens, honk the horn. My daughter saw this guy on the street, homeless. And as I'm like paying, I see her roll the window down, and the guy walking to the window. So I'm like quickly hurrying up, and I start walking out. And she's just like, hey, come here. I want to give you money. And I looked at her, and she was giving him, I think, like a $5 bill or something. Nothing too major. But for an 8-year-old, that's $5 is a lot of money. And so, but she gave it to him, and she saw the need of like, he doesn't have anything. I should give him something.
Yeah, I'm going to fill it.
And I just think like a lot of us see that all the time. And now obviously she's innocent. She's a child. She's still learning as a person. And I'm happy that that's part of her character. But a lot of us see a need and don't really do anything about it. You know, we see a homeless person, automatically we think, oh man, they're just gonna use it for this, and this, or oh man, they probably got money, they're just using it, or whatever the negativity thing comes in our head, or
The
we
excuse
see
why.
Yeah, we
the
always
excuse why not.
Yeah, we can just, I think just the more open to life or the more jaded we get, the more we have an excuse on why we shouldn't do that. And I think it's going past it and saying, how can I help in what my capacity is? How can I help someone with my capacity? I mean, honestly, that's how this podcast kind of developed. Is one, we just wanted to talk. My wife and I were working a lot, and we just wanted to sit down and talk. And with her quitting her job, I wanted to honor that. But then we started talking about like inviting guests, and I thought it was a great way just to shine light on somebody who was doing an amazing job, who was killing it in their field, or who honestly just put a lot of work in it and haven't really got that spotlight. And so like for me, this is a great way to invite guests over, talk to them. And but not only that, like have people like you guys watching, anyone who's watching on YouTube or listening in all the podcast areas, like a chance for you to listen to these guys' stories. Because for some of them, they're not going to be on the Joe Rogan podcast, or they're not going to be on the latest whatever. But these guys have an opportunity to share their story. And through you guys sharing, through all of us liking and sharing and whatever, like enough people hear more than just one person at a time. And I think it's really cool the way like technology has been able to grow and let people listen to us and reach us in certain ways.
Yeah, but not only us, but also your business. And like you were talking about, there's only as far as you can go, right? And that's true. Like there's I don't even want to do the math, but there's a ton of people in Galveston County, right?
Yeah, just even Houston too.
And in Houston, I mean, that's what, the second or third biggest city.
It's
third biggest city in the state, in the country. So then you think about that, and you're like, okay, like there's going to be tons of people who have never heard of your services, right?
Yeah.
But with social media and with marketing, those are opportunities that you have. But even then, you're only one person.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to piggyback what you're saying, is like, but the thing is, you don't have to do it alone in business, because the thing is, if we really like this is more about just like business or entrepreneurship. Is like, what's the real definition of business? Really, business is really having a group of people, a system, right?
Yeah.
A system that you can either people or whatever, how the system works, is putting through people in that system to self-service your dream, your vision, right? Or your product or service to distribute it out.
Yeah.
That's what business is at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I always tell people like, hey, let's compare business. And when I'm sitting down with business owners and things like that, and especially on their personal or even business finance kind of deal, I'm thinking, okay, how is this business running? And the thing is, and sometimes I show them my business system, and they're like, let's compare. Because just going by, like, again, that's what business is. Now let's think about our entrepreneurship. And now, if what I'm about to say is, I don't want to knock out nobody. It's just the reality. So people that sometimes, they're working their 9 to 5 or full-time job, whatever it may be. They have a job, okay, and they want to get in business, whatever it is. It's like, being a cosmetologist on the side, hoping to get a barbershop, whatever it is. Some people call it side hustles. Me personally, I don't like calling it side hustles. If you're gonna be in business, be in business.
Yeah.
Own it. Because the thing is, if you call it side hustle, it'll be just a side thing. You know what I mean?
Easy to get rid of. Easy to drop.
And the thing is, and then they call it side hustles, but they're hoping the side hustles will fire their job. And I'm like, no. I'm like, if you're gonna start something, you better say, I own this.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's just the language.
I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if the verbiage has so much power.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bible even says you have power in your
words, right?
Yeah, in your tongue.
So in your tongue, yeah, exactly. So the thing is like, it's not just in a biblical sense. It's just like the language of it. The language is just such different.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, it's like I said, this is where people just like, hey, they have a job, but they become self-employed, right? And the reason I bring out self-employed is because the thing is, there's a lot of people that say, hey, I'm a business owner. They have a service, they have a business, whatever it may be. But the only thing that I really define a self-employed person and a business owner is really, I ask these business owners sometimes, hey, if you're out on vacation, is your business making money? And if that's a no, then you're a self-employed person. You own a job. You have to be there in your business to make money. As for me, like I have a system that like I was telling one of my youth because they're thinking about just business. Yeah, like I'm like I'm so surprised about the youth. Like they're like in the 15, 16, 17 years. Man, they're so sharp, you know.
They are.
And they're really so sharp. I'm really, really impressed because one literally just asked me questions about just business, and he had really good questions. And I'm thinking like, this is coming from a 17-year-old? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm like, but the thing is like, you know, going back to the business part is like, I was telling that young individual, I was like, you know, I went to Cabo and I make $4,000 and I wasn't even there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's being a business owner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Using system, because the thing is, the best business analogy I can always say is like, hey, if you're gonna be in business, it better be of serving people and making people happy at the end of your service.
Yeah.
Here's what I mean. Let's bring McDonald's into the table, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of use McDonald's as an example, but let's get really deep in depth, you know? Does McDonald's really serve the best French fries and hamburgers?
No.
I'm pretty sure you can make a better hamburger. I'm pretty sure you can cook some better, you know, Cajun seasoned fries or something like that.
She can't, but I can.
Okay, so he does the cooking.
That's why I went like this.
It's funny. It's funny you read that because we literally just had the conversation with our kids. They wanted McDonald's, and I was like, "All right, we'll go." And they're like, "What happened? McDonald's is the best." And I was like, "No, McDonald's is gross. If it wasn't for you, I would never go there. Like if it wasn't for my kids, I honestly would never go to McDonald's. I do not like it."
But a lot of people that are in business, they don't think about this. Like, why? Like, ask yourself why.
The convenience?
Like, well, it's not just why the convenience. It's more of like, why are there so many locations?
They did a really smart job planning.
It's real estate.
It's real estate, but you need the real estate to what? What's their main goal? To service more hamburgers and French fries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if they can, that was their number one thing. How can we service more hamburgers and French fries? See, the thing is, most people in business that are really successful, I'm talking about millionaires to like even, you know, tens of millions of dollars, they know that distribution is king.
Yeah.
Think about Amazon.
Yeah.
They don't own a product, but they're usually the number one distribution.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Now, also another thing is, getting a little bit deep into that is that, you know, just being on the happy sense, it's more of like, they're in at the end of when they give you their food, they just want to have a smile on your face. And if I were to ask you this question, most people get this wrong. You know what's their number one product? McDonald's.
Happy Meals.
Happy Meals. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they want to make you happy.
Because of the toys.
Well, at the end of the day, they know when they give that Happy Meal at the end of the day, they have a smile on their face and they did their job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same thing with Coca-Cola. Same thing with Coca-Cola. The thing is, Coca-Cola, their mission was not to make like a carbohydrate, sugar, water drink. Their goal was to say, hey, the moment you take that first sip, you look at each other, if you're sharing a Coke or whatever, you have a smile on your face. Because guess what? Me and my wife went to Atlanta, Georgia. And we went to the museum, right? And we did a Coke bottle and we clanged. Right, we did a little toast, and we both smiled. And I'm like, you know what just happened, right? We just did their end goal now.
Their mission.
You know, their mission. That was their mission.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm in to me, a lot of people say, what business are you in? And I'm just being like this. I'm in the business of making people happy and being in service. But in reality, I'm a business owner in the financial services, right?
Yeah.
So that's the more technical side. But in reality, if you really want to be mission driven, that's the business I'm in.
Yeah. I know, like, we wanted you to come on because I wanted to talk about more finances, but I'm loving this idea of
we can mix it up.
People. Well, like, not only that, like, if anyone
Honestly,
here changes our mentality to, like, our business is to help people. Everything you do is to serve that end goal, is making them better. Is making them happy, making them more, like, you're serving them. If it's, for me, all the videos, if I just make them happy by the videos, then I'm doing my job. If someone who does a photography, because we have photographers that watch our episodes, and if you take a photo and at the end of the day, they're just happy to have their child, they're seeing your photos captured and they're just happy and they're smiling, like, you did your job. Like, I think if all of us have that mission of just helping people be happy or helping that people achieve their goal, like, I think we would live way more peaceful. Because the goal isn't to make money, isn't to become rich.
You actually start living more abundantly.
Yeah, you start living that way because you start thinking about your clients as as actual peoples and not just clients. You start seeing the people
Or numbers.
or
Yeah,
numbers.
or numbers.
You start seeing potential clients as, how can I help your goal? How can I get to you to be happy? Like, it's a different mindset than going into, and that's what I've been trying to do. Like, honestly, the last year and a half is just, okay, how can I make sure that the vision they wanted is successful? Like, in whatever I do, if I can help you get your vision, I'll try.
Yeah.
Even if it's not in my realm. Like, we've been doing production days in the house for different businesses. I'll make coffee, I'll get the donuts, I'll get whatever I need to do before I even hit record. I've done at least 20 jobs before even going in front of the camera, hitting record. But because my overall goal is to make sure that they feel confident, comfortable, happy before they even sit in front of my camera.
Yeah, because honestly, the truth is that when people walk into any of our businesses, they have this desire, right, to get a need met. And
that's why they came to you.
That's why they come to us. And our job is not only to provide that service, but to provide the experience that goes along with that.
It's the experience and being intentional.
Yeah. And honestly, that being intentional and the experience and the service that we provide is what allows us to grow, because then they go and they spread out the word. Hey, I went to this business. It was phenomenal. You have to try this realtor, or you have to try this financial guy. He's amazing. He helped me save so much money. You know, like these are the basic things that we should be providing.
It sounds basic and we make it sound simple, but the thing is that it's like what I teach a lot of people, especially and people that are associates in my firm and all that. I tell them, like, hey, simple doesn't mean easy.
No.
Doesn't.
Simple is not easy.
No.
But it's simple to you to follow.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. I'm reading a book, and one of the things that it was talking about was like, when you're talking about a client's experience, right? What are you doing to make them feel special, right? So the things that I do, like write thank you letters, handwritten thank you letters.
Yeah, that's a given.
Immediately after you meet them, sending them a text message and saying, hey, it was awesome meeting you. I love this and this and this point that you brought up. You're letting them know that you're listening to what they're saying. These are just very simple things, but they're time consuming. They're intentional. You know?
But the thing is, that's how business is right now. That's what you need. That's gonna win out these bigger companies. Because the thing is, it's like what you said. It's like people want to be a sense of belonging. Yeah. Because at the end, a sense of belonging. Because the thing is not just about a client or number. Is, are you really making the family? Like, there's times where I'm like, my wife will be like, what are you gonna do outside in the next 20 minutes? I'm like, I'm gonna do videos for the people I just served. You know, so the thing is, here's a little tip if everyone wants to take a notepad out. It's like sometimes I'm intentional. You see what I mean? I tell that clients, like, hey, like John Doe and Mrs. Doe, just like, you know, I was just so happy to be part of, you know, you just sitting down in your kitchen table and just, you know, showing what I do, whatever. I'm not gonna get into much details, but the thing is, like, what you just did for your family is gonna help you, you know, build generational wealth, whatever it is. Like, I'll go into that detail, and then sometimes I'd write like not much of a thank you letter. It is a thank you letter, but more what it's gonna happen to the kids. Yeah. I write it to the kids because hey, you're gonna. It's like it's just pouring out to them. Yeah. And a you know, just bringing it up, because the thing is, like I said, in real estate, like, you know, I can ask you right now. So what's gonna separate you from, you know, you as a realtor to somebody else out there? You see what I mean? And the same thing with me. You know, what's gonna be the separator from the guy that's also teaching financial literacy? You see what I mean?
And that's so funny you said that, because when you asked me that, I was like, I already know. Thank you. I love this conversation, honestly, because this is a lot of what I regularly read, I regularly talk about. In my meetings, we talk about serving people. It's not about it's not about how much money you're gonna make, because the money comes after. If you're good at serving people and you go always the extra mile and you set yourself apart with the care of the client, then people, the money will come. You just have to be consistent.
Yeah, it's something
with those
that
things.
like I didn't create this mission statement, but it's someone like you can say a couple of mentors of mine. You know, they established something called mission before commission.
Yeah.
Right.
So
That's good.
So-
I like that.
love it.
So the thing is like that's their thing, and they've been in business for over like 27 years in the financial industry, and I highly respect them. You know, they actually you know, brought me into their house and got to, you know, stay with them, and it was the best 2 days of my life. You know, just to live with a millionaire, you know,
Wow,
a millionaire, and like actually multi-millionaire, just sitting there. But the funny thing is, like, most of these young people that are getting into business is like they think like multi-millionaires are like gonna be driving Lamborghinis and that. To be honest with you, like if I were to show you this couple, you'd probably like they look just like average and ordinary people.
Yeah.
Because guess what? At the end of the day, they're so humble, so giving, so generous. But I tell you this, they have one of the sharpest minds, strong mental toughness, strong work ethic, and they really have a big vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I wanted to ask you something because you said something pretty interesting, and I think we glanced over it because the overall thing we've been talking about is like helping people. But you said you went to Cabo, and in that time you still made money. I think there's a lot of people that are small business owners that can't say that. They can't do that. I mean, there are probably people that are watching now that are like, I can't do that. I can honestly tell you, I can't do that right now. If I'm not out here making the videos and editing the videos, like I'm not making money. And there's other things that I need to start doing, implicate it for myself so I can make passive money. So I can make passive money. But what are tips that you can give somebody right now, and you can use us for example, of how do you make passive income, or how do you make that money when you're not in the office?
Well, it's just like to be honest with you, like you always have to find someone that's really successful in the field, right? Of your field that has done it. If there's no one done it, then you're as a self-employed person, you have to, in a way, someone reinvent the wheel in a way. And that's the thing about business. Sometimes you got to think of something to make it happen, right? Unfortunately, in my industry, right, to be honest with you, the financial service, even specifically the insurance business, it's so easy to scale. It's so easy to scale. Sometimes you don't even need an office, especially in today's era. You know what I mean? Because the thing is like I can go, like, the thing is, remember I told you about what business is? The thing is, you're gonna need to hire people or recruit people, right? I mean, military recruits, jobs recruit, you know what I mean? And recruiting and hiring, same difference, right? So the thing is, to me, I can recruit or hire somebody, and guess what? I just scale my business. Because what did I say in the beginning? If I can teach that other person to speak, you know, spread the word, just like, this is why I always say, speaking the word, going back to my faith, it's like, you know what? I put a post in my social media. It's like, you know what? God and Jesus, like, it's like my number one business partner. Because guess what? He just recruited 12 people. And look at his business, or kingdom business, right? You know what I mean? So
I love that. Oh my god. So just gotta give you some snaps for that.
So the thing is like literally, like, if some people ask, man, who's your number one business partner? Who's your number one this? Like, actually, it's God. Because he's my number one mentor. He's the one that gives me wisdom. He's the one that gives me strength. He's the one that gives me rest. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, he has done it.
He worked 3 years straight. And hustled for an amazing. Wow, that's a.
You know what I mean? So the thing is, for me, going back to my business, I can recruit one person. Guess what? I just scaled. You see what I mean? Now let's compare it to, like, let's say real estate, right? But the thing is, in real estate, there's brokers, right?
Yes, but for EXP, we get rev share. So if I recruit. So for, like, there's different brokers in a brick and mortar, like, mom and pop brokerage. The only person who's really benefiting from you recruiting is the broker.
The broker,
But in EXP, the agency or the brokerage that I work for.
And this has been our sponsor from EXP. Thank you for watching, guys.
But with
Girl
EXP,
loves EXP, guys.
I love EXP. I've been researching tons of models, and this is the one that is just by far
Yeah.
the best numbers wise. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
But absolutely, I can recruit agents. They would be under me and under my group.
Yeah.
And it's exactly like you're talking about. It's that automated rev share that I would be getting.
Yeah,
The
I mean,
scaling up.
it's called override. Override at the end of the day. But I mean, to me, it's like when I look most of real estate on real estate, it's like, hey, let's say I was a real estate broker. I got a whole bunch of agents on me. One of these agents is gonna see a bigger picture, like, hey, I want to be like Jose.
Yeah.
And guess what? I taught that individual everything I know and so good. But when they become the broker of their own branch, they're my competitor.
Yeah, but they could come over to EXP and get rev share.
Yeah, no, the reason the XP got their name because I did some information before I came about XP. And the thing is like they really replicated a model that's in the financial industry.
Yes,
You see what I mean? Because the thing is, a lot of people say, hey man, how do I run an office? How do I become a broker? This and that. How do I be like an actual broker within the industry? And the thing is, it's like, I was like, well, let's do it. Like, let's do it. I'm like, I don't know, hold you back. Let's do it. But the thing is, like I said, I don't know the compensation models here. But to me, I always say like this, hey, man, it's reality. If you add up all our percentages, we pay out 200%. So, but the thing is, let's be realistic. Some people that say, oh, we pay 100-something%. Like, but you have to be really smart. I can tell you, Juan, hey, we pay 200%. But they're like, but then if you were really smart about it, it's like 200% of what? You see what I mean? So if you don't know how to break out your model, then you're not really, that's another thing about other stuff. But
knowing your industry, I think that's so, I love how that's exactly what you're talking about is knowing your industry inside and out, so that
that's how I don't mean to interrupt you and anything that. It's more of like that's the first phase of scaling.
Yeah.
How well do you know your industry?
Yes.
All right? How well you know your industry, right? Because if I was in, let's say in the, food truck business, right? And I had a food truck, and I know this guy, he's actually in Houston, and I'm not going to display his name, but he actually ran a food truck business, but then he started thinking bigger. This is what he did. How about I make food trucks for other food trucks businesses?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Yeah. Now he's a distributor of food trucks. So if you want a food truck, to start a food truck, you're going to him to buy a food truck, and he'll create it for you. And the reason how he's so good at creating food trucks because he was in the food truck business. He actually had a food truck. He sold good tacos. He no longer sells good tacos. But he's a big so that's what I'm saying. It's different mindset. Like the thing is like about entrepreneurship and business is like I can look at a dentist and it's like, are you a dentist? And it's like, yeah. I was like, how many locations do you have? I got 4. It's like, you're not a dentist. You're a business owner. Yeah. You see what I mean? Because he has multiple locations. Yeah. You see what I mean? So in the dentist field, he has to open up more locations to scale. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you gotta learn. You gotta know, like at the end of the day, how the key thing is like how valuable are you into the marketplace? Your marketplace, whatever your service is, whatever industry you're in, how valuable are you? And the thing is, how are you able to scale? Yeah. You see what I mean? Yeah. That's all it comes down to.
Where's the area in which you can point in and niche down and get?
It's not only just niching, but the thing is, you as a person, this goes back to like serving others. What's gonna separate you is what is your value? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
this is a good part to say that if you're not the smartest person in the room, then you're in the right room. I am definitely not the smartest person in this room right now.
Oh my God.
And that's why I've been really quiet this whole episode, because I'm actually like listening to what you guys are saying and listening to what you're saying, because you're right. Like I once you said it, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to scale my business, how am I scaling my business? How am I need to bring more people into my team? So if I do a family trip during spring break, I can still make money in our business. And it's not just passive income by selling my footage or doing like royalty stuff like that. But like, how do I scale my business to the point where it's like, I can have somebody go shoot a project and I can still make money from that project. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us, especially in the photography video world, we think it has to be us all the time. Oh, and it's one of the reasons why, like, I didn't name my business off myself.
It doesn't have to be your business. Actually, to be honest with you, and just in a business mindset wise, is like if you feel like you're gonna do everything by yourself, then you're in level 1 position in leadership. Because one of my favorite authors, and I actually met this man and shook his hand, is John Maxwell. Right? If you ever know about John Maxwell and his leadership principles, the thing is, if you really dig deep, it literally tells you like, hey, when are you going to delegate and trust and lead? Right?
Yeah.
So that's when it also comes. That's another part of scaling.
It's a huge
right?
part of
Yeah,
leadership.
So
yeah.
scaling is such a detailed topic, so you cannot really cover it. And if you're listening to this, it's like, and if you're in a different industry, it's like, well, you didn't cover my industry. The thing is, I already told you, and again, that's about being about entrepreneur and business. You take that information and you do something with it.
Yeah. What are the 3 books that you would recommend
I was gonna say the
specifically
same thing.
to scaling your business? Because you talked about leadership,
I think John Maxwell.
John Maxwell is really like
leading
leading picks because he really says everything rises and falls in leadership, because that's true.
Yeah.
You know,
I love
like John Maxwell, like any of his books, he breaks down his books into smaller versions, big versions. You know, to be honest with you, one of like, he's not like a personal mentor of mine or anything like that. Like, he doesn't like personally mentor me, but in a way he kind of has in the outsource, because he takes that obligation without even knowing you. And we actually met briefly in Atlanta, where I met John Maxwell as well. And the thing is, and just before I say that, is like, and really just to piggyback on leadership, is like, you know, to be a really good leader and to lead into scaling, you have to ask good questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agree.
Yeah, because the thing is, look at this. We talked about, you know, Jesus, right? We talk about Jesus. If you look at the whole entire Bible, any Bible, you know how many questions he asked?
Yeah.
It's 307.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah.
But you know how many questions he answered personally in the whole entire Bible?
I want to say like 4 or 5 or something like that. 3.
So you got to be really intentional about what? Asking questions.
Yeah.
So the thing is, to be a good leader, you have to ask more questions.
Yeah.
Because because sometimes, most often, good leaders, if the person is actually retrieving and has an open heart and loves themselves, the thing is like the answer's in the question.
Yeah.
Why do you think Jesus always answered in question?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Because he already gave the answer within the question.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that we brought with the books too, because I think that's something that we're big advocated for. Is my wife's always trying to push me to read more books. I don't like reading books.
I read somewhere that millionaires and most very successful people read at minimum 3 books a month, and so
that's about right, because I read 10 pages a day.
That's why
I'm on average 2. I'm on average 2 books a month, and I'm like literally like, I've got to get to 3.
But don't be too focused on the stat of an average millionaire, because the thing is, a lot of people say, well, it takes up seven streams of income to be a millionaire.
No.
But the thing is, a lot of people too get caught up in that. In reality, it's like it's a lie and a truth at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, you got to get really good at something. Be good at one thing that you become like a millionaire. You make millions of dollars of it, and then use that money to expand out. You see what I mean? So, so go piggyback into the books, any John Maxwell book, and then again going back to that individual, is The Power of One More. All right, that book literally changed my life. All right, that book came out, I think last year of May. It's literally like the #1 business entrepreneur book in today's world. So if you've never heard of The Power of One More by Ed Mylett, I highly recommend that book to anybody that is starting a business. You don't have to be in business. You just want to be better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Something that he says in that book is so powerful. It's like this: at the end of the day, and you can take this for your business, because that's how I run business now. It's like, at the end of the day, you know, people want to be loved for, cared for, believed in, and just shown to be, just to do a little bit more. At the end of the day, that's all it comes down to. Yeah. You know, if you can hold your principles to that in any part of your life, you're going to do something great.
Yeah. And I love, one of the things in talking to some of the people that I've met and hung out with, that are super successful, they always recommend, and this is one of the reasons why they probably read 3 books a month, is because they're replacing their TV time, their social media time. They're replacing a lot of this, what we would consider relaxing time, with education
Yeah.
and training and pouring into them. And I love that we're talking about this. This is so powerful because I read a quote earlier today, and I Googled it to make sure that I had it. And it says, "Sooner or later, everyone sits down to a banquet of consequences." And that's by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Yeah, I sure heard of him.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things is that in that quote is that like all of our actions, whether we're sitting and watching an episode of Dexter, or if we are,
I think I know where you're getting at. It's like,
Yeah.
How much time do you spend feeding your brain?
yeah, well, not only feeding your brain, but feeding your business, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's like intentional time that we should be devoting to that. And I'm assuming and I want to ask you, like, what does your schedule look like when it comes to you being great at scaling? Like, what does your time look like when you're talking about sitting in
The scaling part is usually in the afternoon and evening.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, if I were to, let's say you didn't have a job, right?
Yeah.
And you say, what would you really do? Most people were like, I don't have so much free time, I don't know what to do. You know, I think that was Alexa, right? But the thing is, at the end of the day, is like, to me, I actually admire people that do have a job, because guess what? If you have a good job that gets you out around like 2 or 3 or 1, guess what? The day is still yours. Because at the end of the day, this is actually I call it the 3 mini days. I didn't create it. It's actually within my certain firm that we created it. And then that Arthur, or that entrepreneur that I mentioned, Ed Milet, he kind of maximized it. You know, basically 3 mini days. Basically, how do you get more time in your day?
Yeah.
Right? How do you get more time in your day? Well, you break your day into 3 days.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see what I mean? So the thing is, I'm waking up at 4, and that first part of the day is from 4 a.m. to what? 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And from 4 to 10, I do my prayer, I read, try to spend time with my wife. If she makes breakfast, I'm spending time with breakfast.
Yeah.
Usually I do cook the breakfast because she makes a really good dinner. So the thing is, setting appointments, talking to people, just doing everything again, working out. And guess what? By the time it hits like 10:30, guess what? Second day, doing the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. At first it's hard. Trust me, I slipped. And I think off camera you asked me, like, what do you do to kind of keep on track? And this is something I learned from a different entrepreneur. And a lot of people don't like him because he just drops a lot of F-bombs, you know? But the thing is, I like his mentorship, because the thing is, I like to be straight up.
Yes, me too.
Let's be straight up. Let's just be
That's my
straight up,
method, yeah.
right? So the thing is, he has something called the power list, to whereas like it's like, to me, I'm a big sports guy. So the thing is, I'm gonna drop some fire here. Basically, a lot of people spend so much time watching a football game, and that used to be me, to be honest with you. That used to be me. Y'all probably will hate me to this about what I'm about to say, but I don't watch. I still am a Dallas Cowboys fan. But the thing is like, I used to be like so devoted. Like, I party, like the time I devoted so much time by learning about everything, I could probably work for the Dallas Cowboys. You know what I mean? But guess what? None of them paid my bills. Never paid for bills, and I'm there screaming at a TV, and they can't even hear me. Let me get for a lot of people that are like that. Guess what? They're not hearing you. By the way, you're not even in the stadium. Yeah. You're not even in the stadium. And guess what? And if you are in the stadium, because there'll be some people that will say, well, I can just buy a ticket and watch the game. I'm like, yeah, but are you a spectator or a player?
Yeah.
Who's really on the field?
You're not in the owner box.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter if it's the owner box or the highest bleachers and things like that. You're still a spectator, because guess what? The real players on the field is those men on the field, because they busted their butt off, you know, endless nights, workouts, just to achieve their dreams. And guess what? And you are buying a team jersey with someone's man's last name in the back.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, how about you start putting, you know, your name on the back? You put your team's jersey, your family, and go for it. So the thing is, when I got that perspective, I treat my day like a sport. Did I win the day? Did I lose the day? Yeah. If I lost a day, because the thing is, the more wins, you're going to be like, wow, I'm stacking up wins. And guess what? Remember about scaling? Yeah. Eventually you'll scale because you got so many wins.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's one biggest thing. I will give a tip for them. You know, for people that listen into this audience, it's like you have to win your day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's really good. I love that. Yeah.
Now the critical task list is not a to-do list.
No.
It's not a to-do list. The critical task is something that's gonna move you. Now, at first I did it in business, but the thing is, it's not all about business. It's about your faith, your fitness, your marriage. Like, what are you gonna do to move the needle? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's your overall goal. It's not one aspect. It's everything. And I know my wife and I, we started doing this. She's been doing it way longer than I have. But she writes her goals down. She writes the business goals down, her health goals down, her personal goals down. And the idea is that it's not just one area. It's not just to improve in your business. It's how do I improve in my relationship with your spouse? How do you improve as a parent? How do you improve as a single person if you're single? Like, how do you just improve? How do you improve in health-wise? Like, it's all these areas that add up to make you more successful. Mm-hmm. Like, it's crazy.
I write my goals, my entire life goals. I write those down once a month. And then every single day I write down my short-term goals, my 12-week goals, which is typically what I format is my 12-week goals. By the end of the 12
it's
weeks,
like a reminder for you.
Every single night or every single morning. I was doing it in the morning. Now I've started doing it at night so that I can in the morning wake up fresh with that. Okay, these are my goals. Yeah. But definitely I think that making sure that you're aware. I love how you're talking about the needle, being intentional with the needle moving.
Just moving everything in every aspect of your life. How do you move the needle? How do I be like for me? To me, one, how do I become a better child of God? How do I become a better husband? How do I become prepared to be a father? Or how do I become a better businessman? How do I lead people when you're talking to a kid that naturally you probably won't even know this, that I'm naturally insecure because I was actually chubby. I was naturally chubby. And I'm to this day I'm still insecure about my body. But the thing is, but a lot of people, how do you flip the switch? It's because there's a lot of repetition of just moving the needle, moving the needle.
It's the same thing we've been doing where our kids were they're in that phase of life of trying to get better at reading. I hate reading. I'm not a reader. I'm not a strong reader at all. And my kids they tell me like, well, how do you do that when you read books to us every night and you do a great job? And I was like, because I practice. Yeah, it's a lot of practicing. And for you guys, you're little. You're going to want to practice. But reading affects every part of our life.
Your kids' age, I like their ages because that's the age where I knew I sucked at reading. Yeah. I sucked at reading. My brother was a good reader. But to me, you give me a book, I'll fall asleep in the first page. Yeah. I literally fall asleep. But
I need both. I need the audio and I need the paper. Like, so that's been the best way for me to read. And it just costs a lot of money because I need both. But that's been the best way for me to read. It's how I read my Bible. It's how I read the books that I own. Like, it's how I read.
Yeah, everyone has their ways. Yeah. But my biggest thing is, like, I hope people are like, well, if they're saying I need to read 3 books a month, I need to cram 3 books a month. I'm like, no. How about let's start small? Don't take the big enchilada.
That's the misconception. And I've heard it from multiple people where it's like, if you read a book, it doesn't matter if it's 1 chapter or all 20 chapters. If you got something from that book, you just sat down with a masterpiece of an artist. You sat down with an amazing leader, John Maxwell. You sat down with somebody for X amount of time and learned something valuable. Mm-hmm. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's the whole book. You read something that changed your life. And I think that's something I've learned earlier on is like, if I read a book and I got something within the first 3-4 chapters, I'm good. Like, I emotionally, I don't feel like, oh, I failed because I didn't read the whole book. I got something that would change my life because the value of that one content was amazing. My wife likes to push me to read the whole book, but that's just not how I work.
But something that you touched on, because a lot of people are thinking like, man, especially when people are trying to start a business or be in business, they think they have to know it all when they don't. They do. You said something earlier like, I'm not the smartest guy on the table. I'm like, brother, I'm not the smartest on the table either. Because the thing is, smarter than me though. No, because this is from just life. And, the thing is, it's like this. I used to hate when God tested me. I used to hate it. Yeah. But the thing is, when he tests you, that's when you grow.
Yeah.
I actually told one of my business associates, my business partners, like, look, at the end of the day, you know, God's going to put you in a dark place. You feel like you hit rock bottom. Not even your own shadow will be there for you. Because when it's dark, your shadow is not even reflected. God's going to put you, it's going to be you versus you. And if you have that faith in God, you know, he'll be right there with you.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, in a business or just in sports, whatever, it's going to be you versus you.
Yeah, it's you versus you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to look at it. And I think that's a good way to kind of like segue this to an end, because I think we brought you on because I want to talk about finances, but
maybe we can do a second episode.
We talked so much more about the mental mindset. We talked a lot about like elevating your person, like scaling up. Like, I love how you said it. It's like, it's not just, you know, finding someone who's been there and done that and scaled up, but if it's not in your field, then you have to be the one that kind of creates that, which is, it's so horrible to think like I got to be the one that creates that. But the benefit of doing that, of creating that wheel, is so huge for other people. I mean,
but that's the definition of entrepreneurship and business. Because the thing is, it's like, it's no offense to crush anybody's dreams on here or anything like that. But there's some people that are not going to be right for business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to be what they're calling it now, an entrepreneur, where you bring so many skills and assets that you make a business better, and that you become so valuable that business owner is you know, can't afford to lose you.
We went in with this story, but I remember I used to work at the plants right here in Texas City.
I used to do that when I first got out.
I used to cut the grass. I'd wear all the chaps and everything. I lost a lot of weight just by sweating. But I heard that the main boss or the main manager got deported back to Mexico, and the boss of the company was so upset by that, he actually went and got him back, got him his papership, got his family the papers, and brought him back. That's how valuable he was to his business. Mm-hmm. And I think some of us will look, well, he should have been the boss. He needs to be the main manager. That's just not what he wanted to do.
I'm pretty sure he got him key employee insurance too, and something happened.
He got everything he needed, but that's not what he wanted. Like, I'm okay. Like, I'm personally not okay, but I'm okay if my kids are like, no, I'm not okay with that either. But like, if they just say, I just want to work for somebody and I want to make their business more successful. Like, I couldn't do that for my kids or myself, but like, there are people like that. There are people that are just happy working for McDonald's and serving that vision, and maybe someday opening their own McDonald's for McDonald's,
or being a lawyer for a district attorney for the government, or you know, there's a lot of positions that people strive for, and they're happy there, and they enjoy that, right? But I like how you talked about like they're for some people, they want that drive. They have that drive to have their own business, and
it's not much of a drive. It's more of the dream. More of a dream in the vision. So the thing is, like, as a business owner or even an entrepreneur, like, I hope you're casting a dream to your team that is so big enough that they're able to see their dream and vision within yours. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing. You know? Yeah, man.
Powerful stuff. If you're watching this, I hope you took notes, because there's a lot that we talked about. But I just want to thank you guys. Thank you, Jose, for being a part of this episode. I'm going to love it so much as I edit it, or as a second shooter. He starts editing it, because that's how I'm trying to scale myself, is by getting an editor here. But I just want to thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a good night.
Awesome.